This year's NFL Combine, the second fastest 40 time out of all the draft prospects was posted by cornerback Patrick Peterson. We brought Peterson into the lab to see the practical uses for a 4.34 40. And the Arizona Cardinals made Patrick Peterson the 5th pick in the first round.
Look out! Won't catch him, folks.
Patrick Peterson.
Patrick Peterson.
Cornerback. LSU. Most important skill for a cornerback, you have to be swift on your feet. You also have to be a playmaker.
You'd have to have Deion Sanders out there to catch him.
Even though he plays cornerback, Patrick Peterson was faster than every receiver at the Combine. In spite of the fact that on average, he outweighs those receivers by 20 pounds.
When you're dropping back, what goes through your mind in terms of the number of things that could happen on a play?
We got to try to play off that quarterback and try to play off his release and the placement of the ball.
Utilizing state-of-the-art eye-tracking technology, we'll analyze how effectively Peterson reads a quarterback's cues and reacts to defend either a pass or a run.
Being hooked up to all these gadgets, and I pretty much feel like a machine right now.
3, 2, 1, go! How awesome is that? Come on! Gotta like that. As Peterson backpedals, the eye-tracking system reveals that his eyes are focused on the QB's upper body.
Some of the things that a DB is taught how to read a quarterback is the shoulder, the ball release, and where they're looking.
Correctly identifying a long pass in only 27/100ths of a second, Peterson turns and in only 3 strides accelerates to a blistering 19.3 miles an hour. He twists his body 90 degrees in only 0.2 of a second as he launches for a deflection. When the quarterback commits to a running play, Peterson can shift gears from reverse to forward in just 53/100ths of a second. And Peterson's fast reactions and blazing speed are best showcased when defending a play like a quick out. Nice! The average NFL QB's release time is roughly 0.4 of a second. And a pass that travels 20 yards through the air at 35 miles per hour takes just over 1 second to reach its target. This means that based on his reaction time, ability to change direction, and acceleration, if he's within 15 feet of the receiver, when the QB releases a pass that travels 20 yards through the air, Peterson can get a hand on the ball every time.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I mean, maybe one of the best things I ever did. That's definitely on top of the list, but I want to bungee jump someday, so.
Patrick Peterson is more than just a great prospect at cornerback. He also could have a huge impact on special teams. In college, he averaged over 23 yards per kick return. That's more than 13% better than the returns in college of Devin Hester. Coming up, quarterback Christian Ponder and wide receiver Titus Young are put through their paces in the lab when the ESPN Sports Science NFL Draft Special continues. Welcome back to the ESPN Sports Science NFL Draft Special. It's one thing to memorize a playbook, but to be an elite quarterback, you have to be able to improvise, think on your feet, and throw on the run. We tested one quarterback who excelled at both of these skills, Christian Ponder. And the Minnesota Vikings made a surprising first-round pick by drafting Ponder 12th overall.
Christian Ponder, quarterback, Florida State.
Ponder, touchdown!
We brought Ponder into the sports science lab and put his touch to the test.
3, 2, 1, go.
To hit the target, Ponder must calculate optimal trajectories, which change with every step of the closing defenders. His arm hits an average angular velocity of 937 degrees per second, while his wrist almost doubles that at more than 1,800 degrees per second. His release angle averages 52 degrees at a velocity of 24 miles an hour, numbers that result in a 76% accuracy rate.
Nice! To put the difficulty of this test in perspective, Ponder is throwing the ball roughly the same distance, but to a smaller target, as one of the greatest touch passes of all time. Roethlisberger to Holmes in Super Bowl 43. We know Ponder has touch, and he's accurate while throwing off his back foot. But how is he at reading progressions and throwing on the run?
For this test, Ponder will have to drop back into our pocket of infrared light sensors. A signal will fire, indicating that the pocket is collapsing, and he'll have to roll left or right. At the same time, one of 3 targets will illuminate, becoming his open receiver. And 2 of the targets will be moving.
With the targets moving, that's probably the most realistic thing in the game. Very rarely is a receiver just standing still.
Oh, no, I mean, it never happens where a guy is just standing there. You know, obviously, you got to hit guys in stride and on the move, and got to be accurate while you're on the move as well.
Our biomechanical sensors and eye tracking system will measure precisely how he moves and where he looks as he attempts to thread the needle.
3, 2, 1, go! Woohoo! Go. As he drops back into our high-tech pocket, his peripheral vision detects his escape route, and he executes a 50-degree lateral cut in only 2 strides. Ponder achieves an arm speed of over 1,700 degrees per second and fires a 36-mile-per-hour dart, hitting his target right in the virtual numbers. A quarterback is trained to execute a textbook pass using a kinematic chain of energy that flows from his feet through his hand. To throw on the run, Ponder has to bypass years of muscle memory to keep his upper body level while drastically shifting his weight. Out of 17 attempts, Ponder hit his target 14 times for an accuracy rate of 82%. Ponder's ability to hit the moving rings is especially impressive when you consider that they're more than 5 times smaller than the target generated by a 6-foot-tall wide receiver. Wide receivers need to come to the NFL with great speed, reaction times, and hands like flypaper. Here in the lab, we tested those attributes by putting one of this year's most promising wide receivers under the microscope, Boise State's Titus Young. And in the second round, Young was snatched up by the Detroit Lions.
The big play receiver.
Titus Young.
And he gets it.
Wide receiver. Boise State.
Titus Young, just like that.
While at Boise State, Titus Young racked up over 200 receptions for over 3,000 yards with 25 touchdowns.
speed is the game.
Young is fast, but can he keep up in the NFL? To find out, we brought him into the ESPN Sports Science Lab and begin by testing his acceleration. 3, 2, 1. Young reacts to the light in 1/3 of a second. And by the 10-yard line, he's already ramped it up to a top speed of 19.38 miles per hour. That speed is on par with one of last year's top rookie cornerbacks, the Browns' Joe Hayden.
We know you can go from 0 to 60 really fast. What we want to find out now is how quickly you can stop.
3, 2, 1. It only takes him 4 steps and just over 2 yards to go from a full sprint to a standstill facing the opposite direction. Total time, half a second.
Everything is pretty much timing.
But fast feet are useless if a wide receiver doesn't have sure hands. Woo! To test his hands, we'll fire passes at up to 50 miles per hour through a hole in this 8-foot by 12-foot wall. 3, 2, 1, go.
This drill is the most challenging drill out there right now.
Young manages to locate and catch the football in just under 400 milliseconds. That's 30% less time than a tennis player has to react to a 135-mile-per-hour serve. Titus Young could also make an impact on special teams. Last year at Boise State, he became the first player in school history to return 2 kickoffs for touchdowns in a single season. Woo! Coming up, we test a new giant, Prince Amukamara, and a giant man, Nate Solder, when the ESPN Sports Science NFL Draft Special continues.